Shall we do it? Yes, I think we shall. It's late enough, isn't it? Anybody else coming? Steve? Didn't think you wanted to come. Oh boy, now Mitt's here too. The gang's all here. Shall we go out the door? Rex, you want to wait for anybody? No. There he goes. Looks like the cloud is getting thinner. Oh, what is this? The ground is all wet, and it's not dew. There goes Steve. Mitt, are you coming out? You can come out later. And we didn't check the temperature. It's pretty chilly indoors. Indoors, it's 62. Outdoors, it's 59, and it's 10 a.m. Yeah, we're late. I've been watching the weather. I actually woke up at about 4 o'clock. It's a pretty good downpours last night that kind of made some noise. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock to check it out. And the rain was just leaving. And I thought it was kind of interesting that the rain was moving from northwest to southeast. So I had to take a look at the velocity azimuth display. That's a radar feature that can look up in the sky and see which way the wind is blowing. And sure enough, the air was coming from the northwest up there on the top, around 10,000 feet, the exact opposite direction from down on the ground. It was from the southeast. So it's a warm front coming through, and the air this morning coming from southeastern Canada, and record warmth this morning before the sun came up. This was astounding when I saw this at 4 a.m. around Milwaukee, north of Detroit, Wisconsin, and Michigan, in the low 70s. Record high temperatures set in the late night over the Midwest. How so? How did that happen? The upper level flow kind of tells the story here. You look at the 500 millibar flow. Wait a minute. We lost to Steve. Timeout. Ah, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Steve chasing the birds. Well, we've got a solution. He's on his line. We'll stick that there, and Steve is now secure. The 500 millibar flow this morning. Please, T-Rex. From Texas and Mexico, the air that's setting record warmth across the Midwest came from Texas and Mexico over the top of this really strong ridge in the eastern United States. So we have warmer air from Mexico going up through the Great Lakes into Canada and into New England. That's what's going on now. We had a warm front go by last night, and it did produce some rain. I'll show you the amounts. Cape Cod even got 1/10 of an inch of rain last night. That was a little surprising. Around the Boston area, pretty good, actually. The most rain we've had in 2 weeks. And it's so pretty. The raindrops on the rose petals. Will we get this rose to bloom? Will we get Rex to stop barking? Yeah, pretty good. And then across northern Vermont, where the guidance had printed out 1 inch, well, the lakes of New Hampshire came in with 1/2 inch. And then across the Connecticut River, pretty impressive, about 6/10 of an inch near Burlington, Vermont, and points east. So it's something, and this is definitely an overachiever here. 0.19. I think that the guidance had us around 0.1, but the what was it? The GFS, I think, wins in that department. The GFS a couple of nights ago had us getting more than 1/4 of an inch of rain while the Euro was dry. Anyhow, that's behind us now, and the warm front is only slowly easing. Now, if the upper level flow is from northwest to southeast, and that's how your warm front is lined up, it's only going to be a slow move of the warm front to the east. And so there is sunshine. A very wide satellite image here shows the cloud that is very thick now in eastern Massachusetts, up through most of northern New England and Maine, and then into Nova Scotia. And in Newfoundland, on the cold side, it was snowing last night. At the same time it was 70 in Wisconsin, it was 25 and snowing in eastern Newfoundland. And then to the south of New England, those are still cold air clouds over the ocean effect clouds there. It's the high pressure system that came in was record cold a couple days ago, and now it's been split, and that same high is kind of, one part's breaking off and going in the North Atlantic. The other part is coming across the southeastern United States, and it's going to just sit there for the next several days. And this morning there's a front that stretches from the Arctic Circle, 979 included low there north of Hudson Bay, and that's what is helping to draw the warmth up the eastern United States. And that front extends south right across the middle of the country, separating record warm from snow and cold in the Rockies. And that front goes all the way down to Baja California on the Mexico coast with the Pacific Ocean. What a front. That's about 3,000 miles of boundary. And along that boundary, we're going to have some strong storms. The Severe Storms Prediction Center says today, severe weather outbreak likely, especially in eastern Kansas and Iowa, Oklahoma. So we may have a tornado outbreak happening this afternoon on the warm side of that front as the seasons clash. Should we go over and ask T-Rex, what is your serious malfunction? He smells something. Come on, let's stop that. Intermission from the weather. Come on, Rex. Why don't you go inside for a timeout? What do you think? We'll trade you for Mitt. All right, T-Rex, you can go to the bench. Mitt, would you like to come on the ice and play? So to speak, in hockey vernacular. No, it's just Tim and Steve. Steve, we're short-handed. I will free you so you can come over and pester the birds over in our yard instead of the neighbor's yard. And we will continue where we left off. I don't even know where we left off. I was talking about the satellite, cold air, high pressure being split in half. And so this high is going to sit over us now for a couple of days over the southeastern United States. It's amazing that it's getting this warm with so little wind. So it's just a mass exchange of air. Cold goes out, warmth comes in. And it's happening more aloft than it is down near the ground. The wind aloft so strong. Why don't I go back to that 500 millibar flow and show you how it plays out over the next 10 days through Election Day and the end of next week, because it's pretty interesting. So the ridge that's here now is going to be dented by this trough in the middle of the nation producing severe weather today. And that trough does dig in, well, not really dig in, actually, it's kind of opening up and lifting through New England on Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to have high pressure at the surface, a lot of wind aloft, and that's convergent wind aloft, sinking air. Looks like a beautiful weekend, although it's going to be colder. There's a low-level cold air mass coming in here for Saturday and Sunday, so it's not like a really cold air mass, but radiational cooling could bring us frosty mornings on Sunday morning and Monday morning. And then the ridge is going to build back in the east, and a new trough coming in off the Pacific is going to come across the nation. And next week, here we're back in the ridge, and we may have record high temperatures again next Wednesday. That's what about the 6th? And Thursday and Friday, the 7th and the 8th, there's a ripping jet coming off the Pacific Ocean. If I stop it at day 10, we're in an active spot with a new upper level low trying to cut off right over New England, and there's hardly any air moving north of this jet that's now south of New England. A cutoff low, and those can generate real serious storms like the one in Spain. That's not going to happen here. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to show you the upper left. The wind coming in off the Pacific Ocean north of Washington State and southwestern Canada is 125 knots. And that is going to flood most of Canada with record warm air. And now we're out at November 8 and 9 and getting closer and closer to when ski areas want to start opening. And that is not a good sign. There is a little better sign when I show you the surface flow late next week. But while we're on the subject of upper level lows causing problems, you've probably seen now on, especially if you follow X, we've all been posting what's just happened in Valencia, Spain, on the east coast of Spain. There are some serious, beautiful mountains there, and the Mediterranean Ocean, a gorgeous place. And Valencia, metro region with more than 2.5 million people, just experienced 19 inches of rain in 8 hours. Over the last 48 hours, just a horrific Helene-like system in Spain. And Valencia is at about 39 degrees north, so it's just a little bit south of our latitude, and it's a little bit north of the North Carolina latitude. But also what happened with Helene, there was an upper level low and an anomalous cold pool. So you inject tropical air into a slow moving anomalous cold pool, and you get those just devastating floods. The water vapor in the global environment is kind of off the charts, and that's why we're getting floods on all the continents, and they're kind of connected. The whole thing is all one big connection of waves, and it's just terrible to see. 19 inches of rain. Alicia Bentley at Albany, New York, has a great website. She lost her dad recently. Sorry about that, Alicia. And but her website is extraordinary, and there was sort of a retro analysis by one of the professors here at UMass Lowell that tipped me onto Alicia's website, where you can look at a lot of different maps. So shout out to Alicia. And another just huge disaster. It's going to take forever to clean that up. All right, back to New England. Our upper level low next week does not look anything like that. But let's go to our surface maps. Or did you want to see the Boston 5-day? Temperature close to 70 today, increasing sunshine, then in the mid-70s for our Halloween, and that's going to linger into Friday, still in the mid-70s before the front comes through here, maybe with a few more raindrops on Friday, midday, and then it's going to be just beautiful over the weekend with temperatures much cooler, but not a lot of wind. Temperatures being probably the 50s with low temperatures in the 20s in the rural areas and 30s to near 40 in the city. I don't think we're going to have a freeze from that. All right, now let's go forward with the surface maps. Getting kind of lengthy here. The high pressure system kind of divided, and we're on the warm side of the high now, and the front across southeastern Canada is kind of stalling to our north for the next 48 hours. Then a low comes in here, 990 something, going across near Montreal on Friday morning, and then the front pushes south of us, and all of a sudden we have another high pressure system coming out of Canada. And even though at the upper levels it's not that cold, at low levels it is pretty chilly. And so that's a stable atmosphere, maybe some fog and frost each morning, burning off to sunshine with light winds over the weekend. And then that high too is going to go south of us, and another storm is going to be driving out of the Rockies up into southeastern Canada. And here we go again with the record high temperatures, 564 thicknesses here on next Tuesday, late in the day into Wednesday, now November 6th and 7th. And then the next front's going to come down into New England next Thursday into Friday. And if we stop at late Friday, that's day 10. Look at that. We have a 988 low, an interaction with polar air coming out of southeastern Canada and tropical air that will have ridden up the east coast late next week. And the Euro says we may have a storm in the Gulf of Maine that will be just cold enough for rain and snow mixed in the mountains on next Friday. And now, yesterday I talked about, well, show the western part of this. See, in southwestern Canada there, the warmth and the westerly winds, even though there is some rain and high elevation snow in British Columbia, much of Canada is going to be warming up at that point, and that's where our source region is going to be. So we're going to get warmer air coming out of Canada heading in toward the third week of November. Yesterday I mentioned, I'm just about done with the weather. Yesterday I mentioned that there was a possible wintry mix here on Tuesday in parts of Maine. Well, that whole cooler air mass is lifting out quicker, and yesterday the guidance has changed today. There's no more wintry mix forecast in New England for Election Day. It's so fun watching these sparrows in here. All right, I think I'm done with the weather part for now. The garden survived. Feeding it some more leaves, getting the leaves up the street. It's easier to gather fluffy leaves like they were yesterday than wet ones like they are today, but they're going to be drying out again. Chance of rain on Friday is very low. And I love that we still have tomato buds. And that one, those transplants I did last week, I transplanted that from down there, and it lived, that dill. So I have some fresh dill. I'm making soups and stuff. And this tomato I actually transplanted also is still alive, and there's still a couple of tomatoes on there. So the garden goes on into November. And what else? I took a tiny little bit of one of these hot peppers and put it into some soup I made yesterday. Just this much of that pepper in a 3-quart soup makes it a spicy soup. Capsaicin is the chemical in there, and it's really good if you have a clogged nose or something. It's also very fitting for the season, even though it doesn't feel like Halloween. It's fun going around and looking at all the different directions. So decorations. I drove around without directions yesterday in a neighborhood I've lived in for about 7 years, discovering new spots. And all my North Weymouth neighbors, if you watch, this is you can walk around with your dog this evening and see all these decorations. There's one place just around the corner over there where there's a road on the beach. So at high tide, people can't get in and out of their driveways on a full moon or new moon tide. All right, so I really enjoyed seeing all your decorations. Thanks. And maybe tonight I'll go around after it gets dark a little bit and see what they look like in the dark. The phone doesn't do as good as in the dark as it does in the daylight. All right, enjoy scenic tour in North Weymouth from yesterday. Talk to you tomorrow. Mitt, look at this beautiful bird out there. The cardinal just staring up at us. It's a big boy. It is a boy. Go land in that bush. That'd be really neat. What are you doing? Just hanging around upside down? Waiting for somebody to come by with a cat toy? You got your happy Disney scene, and then you got your spooky scene. Yeah, nice job. The color stands out a little better. Sometimes on a cloudy day, less ultraviolet. Pretty. Look at that worm chow. A spooky looking day. More comfortable though. Check it out. Forgotten pumpkin in the pumpkin patch. And that'll be nice compost for next year. And some pretty zinnia. Always leave some for the birds. Love it. Is this a driveway or a road? Let's do it. Discovering new places in my own neighborhood. How low can you go? You like the coastal roads on Sunday in the sun. How about this one? More like a beach, isn't it? I've paddled by here a bunch of times. Oh, breaking news. Still see some heron around here. Great blue heron. You could boat to work from here by the looks of things. That's cool. Good one. Yeah, the only time I've ever been right at this point was on my stand-up paddleboard, and I always wondered about this house. Can I get out? Or am I coming up to someone else's house? I think I can get out. Wow. There's a flagpole. We actually looked at some houses down here a long time ago.
Waiting for something you dropped.
No, that's not it.
Oh my God.
I think it's dark windows. Not dark windows. Thanks.
Driving with a headlight out?
Driving with a headlight out. No, that's not it.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
you dragging
Still
for?
looking for it again. Hoping we get an answer soon to the not so easy impossible question. Working on a record.
Never stop decorating. It's good audio too, but I'm standing in the middle of the road, kinda. You can do it. One more rung. All right, looking over toward our yard over there. Great Hill. And the close-up view. Gorgeous. Little obstructed view. There's a dog for real just staring at me. Zinnia. Beautiful. Flowers definitely count. This yard's a tiny bit scary too. And the summit of Great Hill. No doubt that the Halloween decorations look better as it gets dark in person, but not with the iPhone, I don't think. I think the iPhone does better during the day. It's a great yard. Obstructed view though. Car. Yeah. Spooky. Beauty. Hi. That was the first tree to turn beautiful in the neighborhood. There are the leaves. Well, this is a pleasant surprise, getting home from our little Halloween decoration tour, to have Steve sitting right in here and Mint making himself comfortable as the sun goes down in the backyard. We're gonna go out there for a minute and talk about the day and end this video. All right, you can go out without this. I'll catch up with you. Stop right there. Okay. Really interesting sky. Should be a nice time lapse. Here we are at about 5:30. Still 53 degrees, so a little chilly. Usually as a cold front approaches, that's your warmest weather. And that'll be on Thursday, Halloween, tomorrow. And as your warm front approaches, often that's your coolest weather. And that's what's happening right now. So that's why it's still fairly chilly. Did we get any rain? I think maybe a trace of rain occurred. All right, hope you enjoyed that little tour around our little ville here with the cloudy afternoon and some roads that I'd never been down, especially that one just around the corner down there that went in front of the houses that look like you can't even get there if it's high tide. Will our roses bloom for Thanksgiving? It's going to be close. Thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow. Sure. Climb the flagpole, Steve. People would love to see that.